Welcome to The People's View, a program dedicated to discussing local, state, and national issues and their effect on the American people. The People's View provides a platform for state representatives and national figures to present their viewpoint. Whether it's social, economic, or financial topics, you'll hear it on The People's View.
Hello, and welcome to The People's View. This is Carl Seidel, co-host, with my co-host Pete Silva. I would like to remind you that the program is sponsored by the Nashua Republican City Committee, and if you want to find out more about the programs that the committee run, go to their website, nashuagop.org. Their meetings are held on the second Thursday at the Crown Plaza and here in Nashua. And today we have two lovely ladies from the New Hampshire Federation of Republican Women. Verity Swayne, who's the chair right now, and Christine Peters, who was once before. Welcome, ladies, and
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the Federation and yourselves.
Well, I'll start.
Okay.
I've only lived here in New Hampshire for about 5 years, but for the past 20 years, I've been very much interested in politics and where our country was headed. I guess becoming a wife and a mother kind of made me interested all of a sudden. For 20 years, I just wrung my hands about listening to talk radio, and so when we came here, I met Christine through our church, and she invited me to a meeting, and from there I got involved, and I found an outlet for my frustrations and wanted to make a difference in our country and in our party. I have a wonderful husband, and I have 4 children ranging from 22 down to 13, and my youngest little girl is a little child with Down syndrome, and she is a delight of our hearts, and as are all of our kids. But it's for them that I truly want to work to make this country a better place so that their future is bright and free.
So how does the Federation of Republican Women do that? What are their objectives and how they run their programs?
Well, first of all, we want to inform the public. We want to hold events and get women involved into the political process. And the Federation is a great way to do that because we hold meetings where we invite speakers to come and present their views on lots of different issues, and they can also work hard to get our Republicans elected. We support financially those women who are our members who are running for office, so that they could get elected into office too. So it's a wonderful organization and firmly rooted in conservative principles. And I've just totally enjoyed being a part of it, and it's such a privilege to now be the president of it. Oh,
very good. And Christine, you've had the experience leading this group too, and I know you were chairs of the local Nashua area.
Yes, I was. I was born here in New Hampshire, and my first political experience was going to see Ronald Reagan up at the State House when I was 8. And there were so many people packing the crowd that we had to get lifted up on strangers' shoulders so we could see a little tiny Ronald Reagan. And that just was my political bug bit me right then, and I have never stopped. I remember going to see John Sununu when he was governor, and my mother, Nancy Elliott, also was involved. And so we sort of came at it from different areas. But as far as the Republican women goes, you're one of your school board members here in town. Sandra Ziem was the one who invited me into the Federation, and I've been there ever since. So I've been involved with the Federation about 13 years.
Wow. So some of the things you've done, can you tell us about some of your programs to get the women involved with the political issues?
Sure.
No, go ahead.
It starts really on the local level. So when you join the Federation, you join a local club, you join a state federation, and you join a national federation. So you're part of something small and local, but you're also part of something that is working across the country. And so some of the things we've done are regular monthly meetings, which Carl has been very faithful in attending with the Nashua Federation. And then across the state, there are other groups meeting, just talking, like Verity said, with local speakers, or just bringing in representatives from our area to let us know what's going on in Concord and finding out how we can help with, especially letters to the editor and testifying on bills. And then on a more statewide level, we, like Verity also said, we support our ladies who run for office. And then, so anyone who makes it past their primary that's a member will receive a donation from our PAC. We also have run a candidate school, we brought in national speakers to a candidate school here in the Crown Plaza. And so we just really encourage our women to go beyond just sitting in a dinner chair once a month and get involved in their community, whether it's with the letters to the editor or actually running for office. And we have such a great opportunity here in New Hampshire. We are the best represented state, I would say, in the world. I really would.
Really?
Not necessarily that we agree with who's in power right now, but as far as having so much representation for such a small state, I believe that we are the third largest governing body in the world. So we're really able, when we talk grassroots, New Hampshire knows what grassroots is. We also tend to have a more political climate, I think, because of the First in the Nation primary and so many people being involved in that process.
Well, you also do some training too with Vesta Roy and
Yes.
that program. Can you tell us something about that?
Well, Christine probably knows more about the Vesteroy program.
Yeah, the
than I do.
Vesteroy is, it's our franchise of a national program that's run here in New Hampshire. It's the Excellence in Government, I believe. I'm sorry if I had that wrong, but it's Vesteroy. And you go to 10 to 12 training sessions over the course of a year and end up with a meeting in Washington, D.C. with a bunch of other women who have done that. And they tend to teach you all kinds of skills, whether it's public speaking, making a speech on the spot, what to wear, what not to wear, because we are girls. And also, they've been great in training candidates also to run for office and keeping people up on issues. They are not directly affiliated with us, but many of the leaders in that group obviously are going to be the same people that are in leadership in our group. But we also do, most of our clubs will sponsor one of their members, if there's interest, to pay the fees for that program.
Very good.
Well, my big thing is, of course, I started with your mother on judiciary, so I got to know her pretty well, but we talk about these different issues all the time. And I have my own theory as to what's happened to our country and how we've gone down this path that we're on. And I think a big part of it is secularism. I think what's happened is that they, since they've taken church out of the schools, and it's not even what they've taken, it's what they replaced it with. So it's like a double whammy. And I think that goes down the line to all the other issues that are affected. This whole thing that happened at Sandy Hook, there was 20 kids there. That's tragic. What about abortions every day?
Right.
So I don't understand how they twist things like that. And it's got to be frustrating as women to see other women that think completely opposite of what you do. And how do you deal with that? It must drive you nuts.
Well, it does. Sometimes it makes me angry, but it's more, I hurt for them because I feel that they've bought the lie. They have bought the lie that government can take care of everything, that government becomes God instead of God, because we've become a humanistic society. I believe that the strategy is to break the family apart, and we see that
No doubt.
everywhere, even when it comes to parental notification or global warming is my parents' fault, or all those things are taught in the public schools, and so that the kids have something, they want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, so they take up these humanistic philosophies, and let's blame our parents for these problems, and it really hurts, and I think that only as we as Republicans get back to a true conservative message that reaches people and reaches their needy heart will we truly turn this country around. There is, I believe, a God-shaped vacuum in all of us that only He can fill. And I'm a Christian, and He got a hold of my life a long time ago, and He is the one that satisfies. But we see women and all people trying to fill that with money, with popularity, with, you know, that desire for the outrageous and scandal and you know, let's see who we can talk about and demonize today. And it doesn't satisfy. And until we as parents start to pour our lives into our families again and pour our lives into people around us, will we start to make a difference?
So what my opinion is what we need to do is what they've done, we need to take it back. So PTAs, the group that you're involved with, why can't we start going to these meetings and demanding that they put prayer back in church? They took it out.
School.
If we don't stand up and start, that's what's happened. Because everybody's PC. They're afraid you're going to get in trouble. And I tell this story all the time during the gay marriage debate that we had. Blue Hampshire did an article one time, and they mentioned me in it. And I was pretty vocal, but I was never rude. I just told the truth. I
Right.
challenged everyone in the executive session that if you were born before 1980, I challenge you to tell me this is a better world to live in now than it was then. And I still put that challenge out because it's not. I had neighbors as a kid. You don't have neighbors anymore. The kids don't play with each other. They go in groups. They, you know, a lot of them are in sports. You know, my older son played hockey and lacrosse, and you get like a friendship thing like that, but not knocking on the doors. Mm-hmm. So I would, in the Blue Hampshire article, they said that to be fair, I never trust anyone with slick back hair to begin with, but Representative Silva seemed fair and convicted in his beliefs and not malicious or something like that. I'm okay with that. That's fine. Mm-hmm. And I would ask, when I had a radio show, I would ask, I had almost every single candidate on my show, and I asked them, for president, are you willing to play Smash Mouth with this guy? And they would say, what does that mean? And I said, well, when Sarah Palin came on the trail with McCain, for 2 weeks he had the lead because she came out banging away. And then McCain put a sock in her mouth, and that was it. Boom, right down. That's what we need to do. People need to tell the truth. If this person is what they are, tell them. Just say it. And my church is the biggest blame. Bob Rose said to me in my first term, he said, it's your fault. I said, what do you mean? And he said, it's your fault. What are you talking about, Bob? He said, the Catholic Church. If the Catholic Church, as big an organization as it is, finally stood up and said enough is enough, if the Pope would tell the priests to go, every other religion can do it. You don't have to say who to vote for, but you can just state the facts. This guy, if you are pro-abortion, you're not a Catholic. And that was even from Bishop McCormick. They had a Catholic service, breakfast. Carl, you were there.
Yeah.
Who was there?
I don't remember her name. You mean the woman
Yeah.
who talked about being pro-choice?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, there was two Democrats that were there that were talking about it. And he finally said, look, you don't have to be a Catholic. No one's making you do that, but Catholics do not believe in abortion. Why can't you say that? Why can't the priests go on Sunday and just talk about it? And that's what I think we need to do. We need to take it back. You got to fight.
Well, we need to equip people, and we need to be talking about it in our churches. We need to take the issues individually and say, okay, this is what, if we truly are a nation under God, and I believe we still are, where should we stand on this issue, and why? Why should we stand on this issue this way? Let's talk about abortion. The Democrats want women to feel like, well, if I go out and live and do the things I want to do, then I should just be able to, push a button and have all the negative things in my life punished with a baby, as our president said. Those things just go away. But what they don't tell them, and this is where my heart just breaks for these women, is not only is a baby murdered, but women suffer terrible consequences, emotionally, physically, for forever. They never really get over it. And so the Democrats don't want to tell the truth about the terrible destruction. It's candy-coated destruction, basically,
what does
is what
Planned
it
Parenthood
is.
donate to their party every year?
Well, right.
You just follow the
Exactly.
money.
It's all about power and greed.
And where do they get their money? They get it's a feeding circle,
Yes,
if
it
you
is.
will.
Yeah.
If you ever really want to see what Planned Parenthood is about, I challenge you to go check out Abby Johnson, who came out of Planned Parenthood, and she has a lot of insight of what goes on in there on a daily basis. And she talks about how she came to the place where she realized that what she was involved with was taking human life. So I think she gives a really clear presentation in things that we can only guess at what exactly goes on in there. She's able to really go through exactly what's happening.
Yeah, and especially in this state where you don't have to be licensed. But what that means more, which I'm in medical sales, so I go into surgery and I see all the different things. That's why I was so crazy about parental notification, because even if you separate that, as I say all the time, you're not going to do a medical procedure on my child and not tell me. But if something goes wrong, then I got to pay the bill. That's the beauty of the whole thing. But if they're doing these in these clinics, the malpractice insurance doesn't apply. So it's a factory. These guys are making some big cash to do these things. That's why they do it. That's the real hard facts of it all. And I'm sure that's not different in other parts of the country.
It's not even just that you have to pay the bill. Even when your child now is in the emergency room, you're paying the bill, but you still don't know what's wrong with your child. And this happened. We had a mom, because New Hampshire had no parental notification, sweet little girl got pregnant, and her sister said, don't worry, you can take care of it in New Hampshire. They came up from Massachusetts, which had parental consent. And they came up here, and the girl had the abortion. Several days later, she was in a lot of pain, was very sick, and the mom's trying to get some information. Well, what's wrong? When did you become sick? The mom's sort of ignoring her. And the other sister says, Mom, I think we need to take her to the hospital. I think we need to go now. And the other sister was acting very strangely. So she took the daughter to the hospital, and the medical personnel was very rude to her, would not let her see her daughter's chart, would not explain to her what was going on. They were going to do some procedures, and finally the mom, who happened to be a nurse, sort of grabbed the chart off the back of the door when no one was looking and saw that her daughter was suffering from a failed abortion.
Yeah, and the old story you hear, but it is true. My wife is a school nurse in town, and she can't give a kid a Tylenol without permission.
Right.
I mean,
Where's the sense?
We need to say more of that, and it needs to be said in like I said back, starting with the whole prayer thing. If they can let Muslims throw on their rugs and no one can say anything to that, why can't they pick on only one thing? Christianity. That's what it is.
Yes.
If you really want to be truthful about it, you could do any other thing you want to do.
Because they know that that's
it.
true. And it's been, if you want to really get down to the grassroots of it, I mean, that has been the battle since the beginning of time, and will continue to be. But I really believe that we need to respond with truth. We need to respond with grace and kindness, and so that we will be heard.
But truth.
But truth, right.
Do you
Never
think-
compromising.
Do you think that this Obamacare, bringing up all these requirements and everything, is that going to bring this to a head? Is that going to open more discussion? Is that going to, the Catholic Church is trying to react against that by suing the government to allow them to be exempted from some of these requirements that are in that?
It's going to draw sharper lines.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we as a people are going to be divided over it, but it remains to see which side is going to be bigger and more powerful.
Or which is going to be able to be represented well in the media, too.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
that's
we
getting
know.
our message out. And
Yeah.
that's something that I think your organization is working on, is communication through the media. I mean, you're training a lot of women to be able to communicate better.
Right, and we're trying to help them to be courageous, to speak out, and not to sit back and kind of sit in the closet and not say anything, but to get out there and speak truth to people, but to our neighbors, to our friends, not just expecting our elected officials to be the spokespeople, but all of us every day, with our families, with our friends, speaking truth to people. I'm very concerned about Obamacare. Not only is it going to have disastrous effects on our economy, but it's going to kill businesses because it's going to
All the
raise
regulations,
costs.
yeah.
But I also feel that it's going to bring out those people who believe that there are some lives that are more valuable than others. And that's what really scares me. My little girl, Belinda, with Down syndrome, I fear for her life, and I pray every day that the Lord would keep her healthy and safe, that those decisions would never have to be made for her. But those are the
Definitely.
things that we are faced with. And I think that as as outrageous things begin to happen, hopefully it will give us an opportunity to start, marking and say, no further. You're not going to do this anymore.
Well, we're at the cliff now. They can't push us much further.
Right.
I mean,
Speaking of the cliff,
yeah.
I got my husband is paid monthly, so I do the bills every month, and I just got the check for January and saw how much came out of it. And we are definitely middle class, and I thought that our taxes were not supposed to go up, but they have by quite a
ours
bit.
Have.
Oh,
Ours
yeah.
have
So
definitely
so
gone
maybe
up.
you guys could give me some insight into
It's 2% if you make $5, right across the board.
Yeah, it's
They
a
didn't
payroll.
tell you that.
Right,
Yeah.
payroll
Yeah.
tax.
Doesn't
That's
matter
the
who you
payroll.
I
are.
just want to make sure I'm going to say it everywhere I go. We are making $89.85 less every month.
Uh-huh. Well, even I'm on Social Security there. They even took more out for Medicare than they gave us with the cost of living increase on it. So I've gone down from Social Security on that part of it too. So it just shows you that everywhere they're just trying to get it. And it's like the New Hampshire legislature 6 years ago. They were grabbing wherever they could tax it. If it moved, they taxed it. And I think they're finally realizing they can't do that again. But I'm just waiting to see what they're going to come out with that budget. It's going to be something else.
Well,
and that's something I think your organization will be talking about quite a bit too.
The first thing they're already saying is we need an income tax. We just
Yeah.
need more money. And I look at what we have in our family checkbook every month.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I don't get to go get more money. I have to just spend what's there. And if I go get more money, then the credit card company wants it back and then some.
Yeah.
They want like 2.5 times if you pay it on their schedule. So I just think you can't take any more.
Yeah, the part that worries me, though, is if it's too far gone, because that's how this last election in New Hampshire, that's how we lost. Carl and I both had more votes in our wards than we've ever had, and we still lost by a considerable amount to every Democrat that ran. Like, I came in 4th out of 6 people, so the 3 Democrats got in. I still lost by almost 400 votes. And it wasn't because of the base. It was because the people were threatened with the freebies. So they got to them, and
they
they
brought
came
out
out.
more people too.
They brought them out.
But additionally, there was a huge attack on women. Since we're a women's group, we'll speak that for a minute, maybe. A huge attack on Ovid Lamontagne at the end on how he didn't want you to have contraception, he didn't want you to have this, he didn't want you to have that. Whether it was true or not, no one even listened to hear what he might say about that. And that really, I think, affected us even more than Barack Obama, is the fact that people in New Hampshire were hearing, well, if he's governor, he's going to make sure you can't have any contraception, and he's going to take this away and take that away from you. And so they painted us as the party who takes things away from you, which I suppose in some respects, as far as entitlement goes, we have to be that, because the grown-ups in the room have to take away the candy when the baby wants that for supper.
Right.
Yeah, and you can't be afraid of saying it. That's when the thing came out with Romney with the 47%. I don't think he should have ran from that. He should have said, yeah, you're darn right. It's about time it stops, because we can't pay it anymore.
No, we can't. We have to make cuts.
You just have
there
to do it.
must be cuts.
And that's why I voted for Ross Perot twice. He used New Hampshire as an example, that take all these mills that are closed down and start making sneakers here and T-shirts here instead of in China. And that's how you get your welfare check, to go there, and then you can get a 401k through that and eventually have a sense of worth. Instead of just getting, deep inside, if you're just living off EBT, you got to feel guilty at the end.
Well, and beyond that, it's very difficult to get back off, because the way it's scheduled, the way the fee structure is, right? As soon as you make $1 over that, you now have to make up hundreds of dollars in insurance and things you've gotten used to. So there's this tendency or temptation to stay under that level so that you don't lose it, the benefit of it. And these are real people, and some of them would be hardworking, but we teach them it's not really a good idea for you to work any harder. You should just stay right here where you have just what you need.
My brother-in-law has a landscaping business, and he has several people working for him that don't want any more than such, so they can get the welfare.
Yeah.
And that's the way they live.
But he can't pay them enough to make up the difference.
No. I mean, he doesn't want another $100 a week. He wants you need $200 or $300 a week more to be able to make up that difference.
I just think that our government is creating this dependency,
Right.
and they do it intentionally. They want to do that because they want to tell us what to think and what we can have. They want to regulate our lives. Even when Christine was talking about how people so easily believe the fact that Ovid was going to hurt women. You know, this has been going on for a long time, you know, even in the educational system. And women, you know, stopped, they had to get out into the workforce, so they abdicated their responsibility, and parents, I should say parents, gave it to the schools. Their kids are not taught to think and to research. They just take things at blind value. And so, oh, this person's bad. Oh, well, then we're not going to vote for them, without really researching it and seeing if it's true or not. And it's a huge
It's
problem.
amazing. I'll be 53 in March. To see the changes I saw as a kid to what there are now, it's amazing. I mean, almost probably 70% of my neighborhood that was the mom stayed home.
Yeah.
And look, today, 90% they're both working, maybe more than that. It could be more than that, because you have to, in order to be able to pay all the stuff.
Or
And that-
do.
Well, you're talking to two moms who
yeah,
don't.
Yeah, well, my wife didn't either.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we both chose to stay home. I've just recently started teaching a few lessons out of my home, but I still am home with my kids all the time, and we both homeschool our children, which we felt we want to raise leaders. We want to raise kids who think for
Well,
themselves
more
and
people
strong
are doing
people.
that, the
Yes.
homeschooling,
Yep.
and I think this program with the scholarships includes the homeschooling.
It does.
Yes,
reimbursement.
it does.
And I think
It
that's
does.
what I don't want to see that overturned. I think you got to have some competition. Our school systems don't have competition.
Right.
And that is an offensive thing to me that they want to repeal that. Not because of the homeschoolers, because I've already been doing it for 6, 7 years. I'm probably going to keep doing it. I don't need the government money. I happily hand over my property tax twice a year so that the Amherst public school system can do its thing over here, but I just don't want to know it. And then at the same time, what they're saying, the liberals who are so, I'm trying to say UCLA, that's not what I want. Who do I want?
ACLU.
ACLU, thank you. The ACLU came out with an injunction with something like 95 complaints about this thing, all these things that were wrong with it. And I think it's so offensive. It does not remove any funding from public schools. They still get all their funding. No one is screaming, I want a portion of my property taxes to come back to my family. Like that's come up in the past. Oh no, we can't do that. We gotta take care of the school. Okay, fine. So, but this is businesses giving their own money to a private fund, and the private fund distributing the funds to needy families who would like to use private schools, who would like to send their kids to a Mount St. Mary's or to a National
Bishop
Catholic
Jordan.
school, or maybe they want to go to South Merrimack Christian Academy, or name the school. But why should you tell these poor, low-income people, no, I'm sorry, you've got to go where we tell you to go. You have no choice. How do you say we're the party of choice? We give you no choice. You don't rate that choice. You got to choose to keep your child. We get to choose what you do with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them show Waiting for Superman in all the public schools. They would never do that. Did you ever see it?
Oh.
You should see that. Waiting for Superman is about not homeschooling, but it's about
A principle.
basically vouchers to get kids to go to these private schools. And it's a lottery. And it's inner city kids like in Harlem and stuff. And there's only like 15 they take or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember the number. But these families, the ones that get in there, are devastated because they know it's their kid's shot to get out. What's that tell you? And again, it goes back to money. We saw the whole union thing with Right to Work.
Yes.
And that's all it is. It's the teachers' union. And who do they give their money to?
Right.
Every single time.
They give money out for more political stuff than they do for something to develop the teachers, their own workers that are in
Yes.
there, and they should be training
Yes.
them.
Yes.
I know if you have 1,000 teachers in a school, you know some of them just aren't equipped to do it, to handle the job. In any group that large, you're going to have some people that shouldn't be there, and they refuse to recognize that. I was shocked that several years ago when I asked the question of the superintendent, they had only one teacher being remedial training, if you will, or whatever it was that they called it. I said, only one? Yeah, we have very good teachers. Well, I don't care how many you have, you're going to have some people that just aren't equipped to do that job.
Yeah.
The thing I struggle with in Amherst, we're supposed to be such a great town. We have these great free schools. Sauhegan was supposed to be this wonderful project of trying new things. The students call the teachers by the first name. There's very little respect. Students,
Pajamas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that everywhere, right? Well, and I can't say anything because we're homeschoolers. We have pajama days too. But my problem with it is Amherst students used to go to Ivy League schools. Many of them used to go to Ivy League schools. And you're seeing now where some of our kids are having trouble getting into UNH, and so that's definitely part of our decision not to put the kids in, because we want them to have a good quality education. We want them to learn to study, to search things out. So we had started them in a local private school, and we were very happy with the local private school. We didn't start homeschooling because of the same reasons. We thought, oh, private school, that's the way to go. We'll work really hard. We were both working. I was working as a teacher in the school, and my husband has his job with our family's company. But we had to take a year out of the private school for health reasons. One of my children had a lot of surgeries in Boston, and it was just too much running back and forth. I couldn't teach, and we loved it. And we said, wait, this is really great. We could do this at home in our pajamas. I know, but they do have to call me mom. and I,
Not Mrs. Mom?
at this point, I can't imagine going back to that. And I'm not saying that every mom is going to be called to do that. That's huge. But back to the school choice thing, every mom should have the ability to receive funds given freely by companies. This is charity at its finest. It's not government charity. It's these businesses want to take and make an investment in New Hampshire students. And I think that's a great thing. And how dare the ACLU or the Democrats or anybody else tell them what they can do with their money.
And the best part is most of those Democratic leaders, their kids never went to public school. That's what cracks me up.
Right.
You know, is that almost all of them went to private school. I know my neighbors' kids, they didn't go to public school.
Well, if I can, I would just like to, there is one part of the Sauhegan Valley School District that is wonderful, and that is the special ed department. Belinda is the only one that we have not homeschooled, and we chose to put her into public school. But I have to say that they have been over backwards for her, so I'm very, very grateful for them and all that they've done for her.
A lot of the special needs that can only be handled by some larger school district. It's hard for any family to be able to handle that kind of a burden. But I've seen charter schools too that are, the one in Nashua is very good, science and technology.
Yeah, that move from Merrimack. That's a public school then, so you don't have to worry about tuition. If you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other part, again, with the public schools, a year ago, Nashua Community College showed that they had 180 students who graduated from Nashua High School that had taken remedial classes in community college to be able to continue.
Well,
that's pathetic.
I have a little story to tell you. My daughter Ashley, who is in college now, went to take her SAT, and it came to the point where they were supposed to sign their name in cursive, and they didn't know how to sign their name in cursive. And of course she did. She's been writing cursive since she was, 6. But it was shocking to me that a lot of these kids aren't taught the right, and the teachers had to write down each letter, how you make each letter. And so it was,
Really?
I thought to myself, now what are they doing in school? What are they teaching them? But I do know that there are teachers that probably shouldn't be there, but I'm sure there are plenty of good teachers who are fighting the battles that we're fighting for every day.
In fairness to teachers, they have if they had to deal with kids like me and they can't deal with them. When I was a kid, I wasn't easy. So
I was a school counselor, and I learned a lot of how not to parent by being a school counselor, but probably dealt with kids like you.
Principal knew me by first name. And that's the thing, you can't do anything anymore. So, it's...
Yeah.
The classic story, you come home and tell you the teacher hit you, then you get hit.
Yeah.
I think I turned out all right. Most people maybe don't think that, but
No.
I wasn't scarred.
No, I remember high school too. We went through a building boom where I grew up in New York, and our school doubled in 4 years.
Oh, wow.
So my graduating class was 750 people in high school. So it was a big school, but they kept it, under control. because you didn't want to go down to the principal's office, you know.
And
Now I think it's probably
hopefully you
more.
didn't want to face your parents when
That's
you
right.
got home
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
right?
Or the
Yeah.
nuns.
I think
Yeah, or
I must
the
have been
nuns.
on the turning edge. I went to a local public school too for high school, and so the first time you get caught fighting, instead of getting suspended, you could have in-school suspension and take a drug-free training class.
Oh.
So you watch movies all day and you eat some pizza and soda, and that's your punishment. So don't do it
Really?
again.
Yeah, where do I
Well-
Unless
start?
you want pizza. Well, what's going to happen in 2014? What you gonna do? Well, how are you helping to get ready for that election coming up? And
Well-
hopefully we can turn the tables back.
Well, I think that we are very energized to start getting a very conservative but connecting message out there to people. We're planning events. We have our annual Lilac Luncheon, which will be held in probably May. Last year we had Anita Moncrief, who was the Acorn whistleblower, and she gave us a lot of tools to use in fighting voter fraud and to
good.
put voter ID into effect. She met with several of the state representatives. I don't know if you were there when she was up there, but she was a powerhouse.
I don't remember meeting her.
But
You'd remember.
Yeah, you would
I
remember
saw
her.
her coming out of the speaker's office, but I wasn't at the meeting.
Yeah, she's wonderful. But our clubs are extremely active in having those running for office and to educate people so that they can make wise decisions. I mean, that's the whole point.
I'll tell you how not to do it. How not to do it is to water down our platform, water down our message, go moderate, try to get in the middle. People know where to find the middle, okay? People want a clear choice. So say, this is what's here, this is what's here. If we fail with our true message, it's not us that failed. It's our country that's failing. And so part of the mission of the New Hampshire Federation of Republican Women is education. It's really getting out and talking to people. What does it mean to have abortion on demand? I have not yet talked to one person. No, that's not true. There is one, Claire Evil.
Don't see her no
She's
more.
retired.
Well, but this is back in the day. But almost no one will say, abortion is a wonderful thing. I am so happy I had an abortion. My abortion was the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm really thankful for that. It devastates women. Whether or not you realize it, you carry a piece of that with you the rest of your life. And we have, a culture where even 1 in 6, I think, sitting in a church pew, 1 in 6 women has had an abortion. And in our greater culture is 1 in 3. We have very damaged women, and I think connecting to them and talking to them that, hey, you know what, we have something better to give you, and that's just one example because
I couldn't
obviously that's
agree
a
more.
woman's
You
issue.
can't be in the middle.
No.
It's not going to
Well,
work. It hasn't worked yet.
It just makes us inconsequential. Why would they vote for us? But I think we have to. We're great. Republicans are great. First of all, at speaking to the choir. We love to talk to each other, but we're also great about talking about policy. And we have not talked about the social issues for fear of, what obvious things. So we tend to focus on fiscal issues, those things, but it makes us come across as very black and white, dry. And I think that we as Republicans need to connect with people, show that we're speaking these things to you because we love our country, because we love you, we love people, and want to do what's good for you in the end, that will bring lasting satisfaction and not destruction in the end. And I think that's our job as Republican women.
Yeah, and I think also to watch our tone with people who have struggled, people who are on entitlements. We can come across as very patronizing, we're better than you, and it isn't true. Any one of us can have a tough time at any time. Like I said, we had one child who had some serious medical issues. That wiped out any money we had, and so we've struggled for years now. We're talking over 6 years, she's had 15 surgeries. So, nobody knows that's coming. You can't prepare or plan for that, and at the time when income's most needed, you go down to 1 income. So I think we can come across as very judgy. We know that it's wrong to take it. Today, my little girls earned some money, and they were listening to Sean Hannity on the radio. They're 8 and 10. And Isabella says, I don't like taxes, Mom. And I said, well, why don't you like taxes? Well, they take your money. I said, Isabel, you just earned $10 working for Grandma. If this were the government, I might take $3 or $4 of that away and give it to somebody else. Mama, that's not fair. I worked for that money. And so even a little child can understand it, but in order to break away from our dependence on entitlements, there's going to be pain. It's going to hurt people. It's going to feel bad. But it's for their greater good. It's so that they can have the opportunities to go and have the American dream. And I think maybe even Sean Hannity even said that this week sometime, that we've lost that American dream.
We have to encourage the people to thrive, to look for something, to better themselves. Not
Right.
just, oh, woe is me, somebody's got to help me.
Well, there's joy in hard work.
That's right.
But so many of those things, the personal responsibility, the hard work, the proper self-concept, just the doing good to your neighbor, all those things are things, if you think about it, that families are you're supposed to learn
That's
that in
right.
the family, that
That's
sense of
right.
belonging that parents are supposed to teach their kids. But if parents aren't teaching their kids anymore, then who's going to be teaching them?
If
Or
you
where are
have
they going to
both
learn
parents.
it? Pardon me?
If you have
Yeah,
both
both
parents.
If you have both parents, but even single parents, I mean, single parents have got to get back to training their children and creating a home, because that's where that security comes, so that they're not out looking for satisfaction every other place except the home. So I think that's our root
And they
problem.
can do it. I can do it
And,
from personal experience. I know that a single mom
Right,
can do it.
right.
Yes.
And also
Yes.
being willing to come around and encourage them. And that's another mission of the New Hampshire Federation of Republican Women, is something called Caring for America,
Yes.
where we do projects and we'll just adopt a certain homeless shelter and supply them with toiletries. I think that we've done that for Marguerite's Place here in Nashua, or even with the Crisis Pregnancy Center. We have a great pregnancy center here in Nashua, CareNet. And one of the things they do is an Earn While You Learn program, so that as you're learning to parent, they don't just say, okay, you've had your baby, great, enjoy your life. They'll stay with you for a year or two, and you can come in and do classes, and you earn mommy dollars, so you can go in and you can purchase things that you need, diapers and clothes and car seats and cribs. The great thing that we're seeing now is fathers starting to become involved again.
Oh, really?
So you're
Good.
seeing this girl who comes in with a crisis pregnancy, and because they are offering limited ultrasound, well, what guy's not kind of, I wonder what my baby looks like, what is going on? And they find that these dads are sticking around, and now they're having to develop dad classes even to launch these families.
didn't know
So
that,
it's not just about saving a baby like you'd save a whale. It's about saving a family, saving a woman.
Right, and that's why so many times Planned Parenthood, they don't want them to have the ultrasound.
They turn it away.
They
So you
turn
can't
it away,
see.
so you can't see, oh, that is a real living
Yeah,
human
something,
being.
yeah.
And because so many times once that mom sees that baby, there's no way she could ever have an abortion.
And it's not too many weeks before you can really see the shape of that.
It's very
Yeah.
early, yeah. By the time it's 6-10 weeks, you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You have one of those little dolls that show the size and
Yeah.
the toes and the fingers and
We
everything.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
my little girls, that's what they carry in their purses.
Oh,
And I say, don't take that out at the wrong moment, but I want that. We've always been
Yeah.
very honest since they were little about what is abortion, what is a baby, what does it mean to be, pregnant even. So I don't want them to have any mystery about it. I don't want them to be confused. I had miscarried one time, and this wonderful liberal friend of mine said, oh, it was just a blob of tissue anyway.
Oh.
And I said, no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
No.
No, well, I think we're getting out of time here, Carl.
I think so.
Anything else you ladies wanted to add before we close up here?
Well, we just love to encourage anybody who would like to become a member of the New Hampshire Federation of Republican Women. You can go to www.nhfrw.org and find a unit club that is close to you,
Okay.
and we would just love to have you become a member.
So there's
And
some phone numbers on there too?
there are
Oh.
phone
There are lots of those. There's
numbers.
also a contact us button, and
Yeah.
that goes straight to me. So
Oh,
if
really?
somebody wants to know who they're sending their contact to, it's me.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's very good, because I think a number of people might do that. I
Yes.
hope so anyway.
Yes, we hope
and
so,
I hope
too.
we can all work together and make it a better New Hampshire.
Yes,
That'd be
thank
great.
you.
Thanks a lot,
you.
ladies. Thanks for what you
Thank
do.
you.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening in. We'll see you next time.